Hi guys, this is Supriya and welcome back to Core Java series. Today we will learn how to create methods in a class. Okay, so let's start. So I have this package Java Basics, and inside this package I'll create one class, say my class, and I'll select the main method here. Okay, so here we go. So we have this main method and we will keep it empty because when you are creating the method, you have to create within a class. So my class is the class that I have created, and within this class I will be creating a method, but it should be outside the main method because main is also a method. Okay, so we cannot have two methods enclosed within each other. So when we are creating a method, it should be outside the main method. But when you are calling the method that you have created, you would need to call within the main method. So I'll explain you how to call the methods. Okay, so first let me just tell you about a method, creating a method without parameters. Okay, so I'll say without parameters. Okay, the moment you write double slashes or backward slashes, the statement in a code becomes a comment. Okay, so will act as a comment and it will not be executed. Okay, so we will learn about how to comment a piece of statement in a code in future videos. For now, just understand that if you want to comment anything, or if you want to give any information about a piece of code, then you can just comment it, and that comment will not be executed when it will be run. So how to comment it? You need to just put two backward slashes. Okay, so now this method that I'm going to create will be a method without parameters. Okay, let me also tell you that a can be predefined method or user defined method. So main is a predefined method, okay, which is already there in Java library. Okay, and there is another method which is predefined in system.out.println. So this method println is the predefined method, okay, that we have been using it to print anything that you write inside this method on the console. So this println method is a predefined method, and also this main method. So these two are just the examples of predefined methods, but we have several predefined methods that we will understand in future videos. Okay, so I'll just remove this. Okay, second thing is that there are user defined methods, the methods that we create. Okay, and that is what we are learning today. Okay, so what we are learning is the user defined methods. So how to create user defined methods, that we will learn. Okay, so first, a method which we are going to create is user defined methods, and a method without parameters. Okay, so first we will learn that. Now when you are creating a method, there will be a method name. You can give any name, meaningful name. Okay, so we have already learned how to name a method, how to name a variable, a class in identifiers video. So if you didn't understand, please watch that video on identifiers. Okay, so I'll just create a method, write the method name here. So let's say my method. And a method, when you write the name of your method, it should be followed by opening and closing parenthesis. So this is my method name. And then after that, you need to write a method body, and the method body will be written within the opening and closing curly braces. Okay, so now before that, let me tell you that this is my name of the method, which can be any meaningful name. So I have just named it as my method. Okay, and I have the opening and closing parenthesis, but here inside the opening and closing parenthesis, you are not passing any parameters. It is blank. So when it is blank, you say that this is the user defined method, okay, without the parameters, okay. And before a method, you can enter few keywords in Java. So you can have a keyword as the access modifier that we have learned. So if you want, you can put public, protected, private. Okay, if you don't put any key access modifier here, then it will be acting as a default method. Okay, so that's optional. So I'm just entering public access modifier as public here, and we have already learned what are access modifiers. If you want to understand them better, then please watch my videos on access modifiers. Okay, so now I have this my method, my method, this is the name of the method, and before that I have used the access modifier. Now in between, I can have the static and non-static keyword. So if you put static, this method, my method, becomes a static method. So we have already learned what is the difference between static and non-static method. Okay, so if you write static, that means this method, my method, belongs to a class. And if you don't write static keyword here, then this method, my method, belongs to the object of the class. Okay, so if you want to understand the difference between static and non-static, please go ahead and watch my videos on static keyword. So that will help you to understand it better. But for now, a method, when you are creating, you can use access modifier, and you can also enter static keyword. Okay, so depending upon the keywords that you are using while declaring a method or creating a method, the method's behavior will vary. Okay, or the function of the method will vary. Okay, so currently if you write static my method, then my method belongs to a class. Okay, however, if you are not writing the static keyword, then the method belongs to the object of the class. And if you don't write the access modifier here, then it is a default method. That means a method can be accessed within the package, okay, not outside the package. So we have already learned all that. Okay, so I'm just telling you how to create the method and what all keywords you can use while defining or declaring the method. So for now, I'll just use public, static, and the return type is mandatory. See guys, public and static keywords, it depends on the condition or the scenario, depends on the condition you want to declare the method, but that's optional. Public and static, if you don't put, that's optional, but return type is mandatory. So let's say my return type is void. So we already have a separate video on return types. Okay, so if I put void here, that means my method is not returning any value. Okay, and return type is mandatory when you are writing a method. So even though if you don't put the access modifier and static keyword, it's fine. Okay, but return type has to be there. If you want my method to return a value, then you can have any primitive or non-primitive data type. So it can be int, or it can be boolean, okay, it can be string. So that all that we have covered in the return types video. So please understand the meaning of return types in return types video. Okay, but for now, a method, when you are creating a method, it needs to have a return type. So let's say I am putting it as a void. So void means my method is not going to return any value. It's not going to save any value or return any value when it will be called from the main method. Okay, so this is how your method should be created. Okay, now inside this method you can have a method body. So from this curly braces, opening curly braces till the ending of the curly braces, my method will have the scope. Okay, and inside this curly braces, you can write your method body. So I'll just write a method body, a simple method body, say system.out.println, and if I want to just display a sentence here on the console, I'll say I have created a method without parameters. Okay, so now if I want to call this method and I want to print this statement on the console, how to do that? So that I will do inside the main method. So calling the method is always done inside the main method, which is the predefined method. Okay, so I'll just call this method. Sorry. So this is how you call the method. Okay, so I have just written it again with opening and closing parenthesis and a semicolon. Okay, so let me just run this. So see, I have my sentence. I have created a method without parameters on the console. Okay, so let me have another method body. So see, method body is something that we will learn more in details in future videos, but for now I'm just writing the simplest method body just to make you guys understand. Okay, so I can declare some variables and initialize some variables. So let's say int value, or say my value equals 20, boolean, boolean my value 1 equals false, string my val 2 equals, now this is a string type variable, so I'll write it inside the double quotes. So say Supriya Mishra, okay, and a semicolon. And let's have one more variable which is of char type. So let's say my val 3 equals, now this is a char type variable, so it should be in single quotes. So let's say D, okay, and a semicolon. So guys, this is the syntax that you need to follow while declaring the variable. So we have this user defined method, my method. What I'm telling you here is how to have the method body. So you can have the method body as well. Okay, you need to have the method body. Okay, it's compulsory. So now let me do some actions on these variables. So I'll just pick up this say I'll declare one more variable of int type, int my val 4 equals 4. Okay, so let me just okay. So what I'll do, I'll just say system.out. Sorry guys, I'll say system.out.println and my val multiplied by my val 4. Okay, so it should be multiplying 20 by 4. Okay, so let's see what will be the result. So I'll say my val, or let's add them. Okay, my val 4. So this is, I'm just trying to tell you how can we have the method body inside a method. Okay, and we will know more about writing the method body in future videos. So that will be more in details, and you would need to keep watching my videos. Okay, so I'll just run this and it should print 10 plus 4, 24. Oh, I'll have to call this method now. So I already have this my method inside this main method, but this time when you will be calling the method, it will be printing this value, which will be 20 plus 4. Okay, so see here, I'm having that value on the console, 24. Okay, and in the previous videos on objects and classes, we have learned that methods are nothing but functions or actions or behavior of the real world entity, that is objects. Okay, so if you are declaring a method and a method body inside it, what does it mean? It means that a method is a function or behavior. It's going to perform any action. Okay, and what action this particular my method is performing here? It is adding, first of all, it is assigning these values inside to the variables, to their corresponding variables. Okay, and secondly, what action it is doing? It is printing the sum of these two variables. Okay, so but there can be several actions and several different type of actions that a method can perform depending upon how you write the code. Okay, so this is the most simplest code or method body I have written. This is a block of code. What we call it as? We call it as block of code. So a method is a block of code, and it is a behavior that an object is doing, performing, or it is the action that an object is doing, and it is also called as the function. So function, method, behavior, action, all these words means the same, and a method is a block of code. Now this method, my method, does not have any parameters. It is without the parameters, and hence when you call this method from the main method, you did not pass any parameters. You just wrote the name of the method as it is, with the opening and closing parenthesis followed by semicolon. Now we will learn about creating a method with the parameters. Okay, so I'll just comment this part, or let it be, so that you will be able to differentiate. So I'll say public static void, okay, and I'll say my method one, because I've already used this my method name, so I cannot use it again. It will give me the duplicate error. So I'll followed by the opening and closing parenthesis and the curly braces, opening and closing curly braces, which will decide the scope of the method. Okay. Okay, inside the curly braces you write the block of code depending upon what actions you want your method to perform, or what behavior you want your method to perform. Now here we are learning method with parameters. What do I mean by this? Now till here you understood how to create the method, but with parameters you have to pass information inside this opening and closing parenthesis, and that's when you say that you have created a method with parameters. Now what information you can pass? You can write data type, say string, int, or boolean, float, char. You can just write the data type and the variable name. So let's say string val. Okay, string value, like this. Now I'll just write a small piece of code inside this opening and curly braces. So I'll just say system.out.println val. Okay, now you will ask me, I don't have this val value here. Okay, how would I print this here on the console? So when you have a method with the parameters declared by you, okay, while the method is called, okay, now this time let me just call this method with the parameters. So when you will be calling this method, you have to pass the arguments. Now this parameters while calling becomes the arguments. Okay, so since it's a string, it's asking for the string type parameter or string type variable. You while passing the information, you have to give a string value. Okay, so I'll just say my name is Supriya. Okay, now when I'll be running this code, what it will do, it will, like my JVM will enter here, my compiler will enter inside the main method, and it will check, okay, this is the method that I need to call, but this has the argument. Now here, when you are passing any information inside the main method, you call the information as the argument. Okay, so this becomes the argument here. Argument inside the method. Okay, now so the compiler, when it will call this method, it will first check here how it is being declared. It will see that, okay, this has the parameter of the string type, and it will see that I'll have to print that value of that parameter here on the console. Now what is that value? That I have to pass here. while calling the method. So it will print that value here on this console. So this is like, let me just run this and show you. So see, 24 is the value for the first method that was called without the parameter, and my name is Supriya is the method with the parameters. Now you can pass any parameter, or you can use, say, int age. Now since you are giving int age here, okay, here see, you have to change this value as well. Okay, now what type of parameter or variable is it? It is integer type. So when you will be calling this method, my method 1, in the main method, then see, the error has come because that is now that this is a string type and we have to pass the int type variable, the argument. So it will be let's say 25, and since this is not string, this is integer, so need not write the double quotes. So now let's call this method. So see, 24, 25. Now a method with the parameters can have more than one parameter. So this can also be written like this: string, say val, comma, but you need to just put a comma if you are having more than one parameters. So this is one parameter and this is second parameter, and you can have even more, but you have to put a comma if you are having more than one parameters. Now this time when this method will be called, okay, now here let me just make some changes. Here let's say name, let's say val, is, guys, I'll explain you, this is all about concatenation that I'll explain you in future videos. For now, just understand that I'm going to print the parameters on the console, the value of the parameters. Okay, so here my val value will be printed, and it will have this is word, and then the age value will be printed. Okay, but then where are my values? So since this method, my method 1, has the parameters declared at the time when it is created, while it is called, now this is showing me the error. Why? Because it's asking, see, I'll tell you what is the error. It's saying add argument to match my method 1. Okay, so here I am just giving one integer value, but here while declaring the method I have to pass two arguments, which is string and one integer type. So I'll say first one is of string type, so I'll say Supriya, and the second one is of integer type, so I just put comma here and 25. See, the error has gone. So let me just run this. So see, Supriya is 25. Okay, so depending upon the type of parameters you provide while creating a method, you will have to pass the arguments while calling the method. So when you are declaring or creating a method, that time you write the parameters. Okay, that time you call these variable as parameters, but when the method is called, At that time, the information that you pass or you input is called as the argument, and the information that you need to provide depends upon the parameters that you have uh, given or provided while creating the method. Okay, so now this is all about creating the method with and without the parameters. And now when I'll be creating the method with or without the parameters, you should be able to understand what do I mean by that. Okay, and we will learn more on block of code, more on the method body in future videos. For now, just to make you understand, I have used the simplest block of code or simplest method body. Okay, so here with this I end this video, and see you in the next videos. You have a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy. Goodbye.